Hey guys, this is Jason Morris with the Facebook group Real Estate Agents That Really Work, and today is day one of becoming an expired master. Guys, I talked to RedX and we put this program together. If you guys are signed up to this program, you're listening to it live, you know they've offered you guys a special deal. Take advantage of it. They don't offer deals like this all the time. I mean, I've been using them for 10 years. This is the first time that I've seen this offered live or offered that sort of deal offered. So guys, becoming an expired master, I feel like the first thing that we need to do here is I want to explain exactly what an expired is, because I've got this question before from other people, what exactly is it expired? And an expired is a listing that has come off the market. Basically, it has expired from MLS. What typically happens, for you guys that don't know, is an agent will list a property. They have some paperwork, and that paperwork has a start and end date. When that end date happens, it should come off MLS and become an expired listing. So technically, when it expires, it's off the market, right? Or at least it's off the market with that agent, unless they've got something that they've signed that, we don't know about sometimes. But as far as we're concerned, it's expired and it's off the market. Now, why do listings expire? There's a lot of different reasons. Now, there's a big misconception that most of the time people think that listings expire because they're overpriced. And I mean, that is the case. That's the case. I'll tell you the truth. That's the case a lot of times, Hey, an agent took a house that was $150,000 listing, and they listed it for $200,000. The seller had really high expectations. The agent did not want to tell them no, and they listed the property, and they just listed it too high. It happens, but it's not always the price. Guys, during the time I've been selling real estate for 14 years, and I primarily worked expireds and for sale owners. That's been a large part of my business for the last 14 years. I want to share with you guys 10 reasons I come up with why a home expires. The number one reason, I think, and these are really in no particular order, these are just 10 that I come up with that I've seen over and over again. In my experience, I've seen over and over again. Number one, bad pictures, right? And we've all seen the picture in our MLS where the agent literally drove by in his car, hung their cell phone out the window, and they didn't even bother to crop out their rear view mirror or their side view mirror. They got the top of the window in the picture, right? It isn't even like a level shot. We've all seen this in really bad pictures. And then when they go in the house, they don't really take pictures of the house. They kind of take pictures of the people's stuff. I've seen this too. The seller have like a really nice curio cabinet, and the agent, for whatever reason, instead of backing up, taking pictures from a corner, they take a picture of the curio cabinet. Or the house is so cluttered, you can't really get pictures. Or, the other side of the coin is, it isn't really bad pictures, there's no pictures. They took a picture of the outside so they could stick an MLS, and that was the only picture, and even that picture was bad, So, I mean, we've all seen that sometimes a house, I had a listing expire not long ago, and I took pictures of it 3 times, and just the house just photographed really, really bad, because the people, I try to explain to them like, hey guys, I mean, there were some other reasons it expired, and we'll get to that in just a second, but man, they had like a mattress laying in the floor, and they had no carpet in that bedroom. So it's really hard to take pictures of that particular bedroom. And then the bathroom, they had a stain on the ceiling, and it didn't matter how you took the picture, unless you cropped it till it was tiny, you couldn't get that. The bathroom was so small, you couldn't get those water stains out. And they claim they fixed the leak, but they would not paint over the water stain or fix the water stain. They just wouldn't do it. I don't know what the deal was, but there was just no way to take pictures of this house. Every way you took them, they just looked bad. The furniture was really bad. I mean, just everything was bad. The number two reason here is bad description. And I want to give you guys an example of this. I had a friend a while back called me. They listed their house with somebody else. I feel like that was their first mistake. They should have called me to begin with, right? But they listed their house with somebody else, went on the market for 3 months, and it didn't sell. They called me. They called me actually before it expired. They said, "Hey, our house is expired in a few days. We want you to help us sell our house, uh, and can you tell us, what's wrong with it?" So they told me what they needed for the house and told me what it was at, and like having known them and known the house, I was like, "Man, that's a really good deal." God, why didn't it sell? I know the market pretty well, but I said, "Well, let me do some research, and I'll call you back." I go online. Now, their house was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a 2-car garage. The agents, bad pictures, they had bad pictures because none of the pictures showed the actual 2-car garage. Then the description was like, really, it was 2 sentences. It was 3-bedroom house in nice neighborhood, newer home. But it said nothing. They had nowhere on there the garage. So at the price they were asking, the house really looked really overpriced at the price they were asking, because based on the listing, it looked like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. When you actually knew all the details of the house, it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car garage, and then they had a nice sunroom on the back. There were no pictures of the sunroom. When you looked at all their features, it was a really, really good price. Now, the only thing I done that was different, I listed it for the same price that they had it on the market for. I just made sure to take a picture of the garage, a picture of the sunroom, very accurate pictures displaying all of the details of the home, made sure that the description was pretty detailed, and the house sold in 2 weeks. Now, the only thing I did different was the way that I presented it, right? I had decent, I had very decent pictures that was an accurate portrayal of the house, and I had a good description that actually mentioned the 2-car garage. That other agent lost money. That other agent should have sold that house, and they should have got paid. They should have got a commission check on it. The reason they didn't was because of their bad pictures and their bad description. So, Jason, being the problem solver I am, I got paid instead of them. So, but agents do this. It's not just this one thing. I mean, in the last 14 years, I've seen this sort of stuff over and over. I had one time where the lady was telling me on the phone, I'm talking to her on the phone, she's telling me how she had new carpet and crown molding and all this stuff. And I pull up the listing on MLS and I'm looking at it and I'm going, "Man, there's no crown molding in this." And she told me she had granite countertops. And I'm going, "In the pictures I'm seeing, there are no granite countertops." And finally, I stopped her and I said, "Hey, wait a second. Does your house have green walls?" And she goes, "No, my house doesn't have green walls." The agent uploaded the wrong pictures, right? Her condo expired off the market because the agent that she hired, he didn't have all this new stuff and fancy upgrades and things that she had. He didn't have none of that in the description. Then on top of it, he didn't have pictures of their condo. He uploaded pictures of a kind of a crappy condo where hers was like really nice. And this happens all the time. This isn't an isolated incident. I guarantee you this is happening in your market today. Number 3, sometimes the listings are just hard to show. The house I took bad pictures of that I told you guys a few minutes ago, the other reason why it really expired was, price overcome bad pictures, and we were priced pretty well. But here's the thing, they wouldn't allow the house to get shown. Agents would set up an appointment with me. I would set up an appointment with them. An agent would show up at their house, knock on the door, and the lady would come to the door and go, "Oh, it's not a good time. Can you come back later?" And the thing is, no, they can't come back later. They set a time with you, and they're on your doorstep, and the time's the time, But how many times have we listed a house where a tenant was in there? A tenant was in there, the tenant wouldn't allow showings. An owner was real difficult because they wanted to be there, so you could only show it between, literally I've seen listings where you can only show it between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. or something crazy like that, But they made the listing so hard to show. There were buyers that were willing to pay the asking price. They just couldn't get in the house to show it. Now, the other thing, number 4, is agents never answering the phone. Have you guys ever dealt with this? Raise your hand if you're on Zoom, or do the frowny face if you're on Facebook. Agents never answer their phone. You got a seller that's hot and heavy on this thing, right? They've drove by, they got out and walked around, they peeped through the windows. I had a seller, I had a buyer one time card the door and just go ahead and go in, and I'm like, Jesus, you can't do that, you know. But the agent never would answer the phone to get it shown. And then on the other side of things, when you did have the buyer that wanted it, they never answer their phone on where to send the contract to. Well, your client accepted. They just never, you just never heard from them. It's like a secret agent. They went missing. Number 5, I believe sometimes the reason why listings don't sell is because of the agent. You got a seller that wants to sell, and man, they need to go like today. They need somebody in the house today, other than themselves. But their agent is so damn difficult. I mean, we all have those agents in our market. We got them. We got them here in the Myrtle Beach market, where other agents are talking about them. They're going, "Hey, oh my gosh, I got to show so and so's house, and I don't want to. I don't want to call him. He's mean. You got an agent that's so difficult. I dealt with an agent before, and this agent, like, man, I done 3 or 4 transactions with him, and it got to where, like, sometimes when I'd have to call him, I'd cringe and go, like, dude, I'm just gonna text him and see if he responds. I'm not calling this guy right now. But the guy was just so difficult to deal with showing a listing, or when he showed yours is even worse because they'd submit an offer, and then he'd want to beat your seller up about weather strip, $3 roll of weather stripping. And but sometimes listings don't sell because the agent's too difficult to deal with. And no, there are agents right now in your market that are not getting the showings they should be getting because they're so hard to deal with. Nobody wants to work with them. I 100% believe that. Number 6, you have difficult sellers. And we've all had this. I've had sellers that, man, they got their full price and then they wanted more. I had a seller one time, we listed her house. She got a full price offer, like full price cash, close in 2 weeks. And she calls me up and she goes, "Hey, Jason, look here. The picnic table wasn't in the contract, was it?" And I mean, it was just an old wood picnic table. It probably looked like it was 10 years old. Wasn't worth nothing. You know what I mean? Sitting out behind the house. And I said, "Well, gosh, I don't think it was." And she goes, "Those people sign off I sign off at 1 and they're signing off at 2. As soon as I sign off, I'm gonna run over there and get the picnic table." And I'm going, "No, we can't really do that. It's worth maybe $50. Leave the picnic table, right?" And I mean, she like beat their eyes out in negotiation. Like, we're in the middle of negotiating the thing, and she's wanting an extra $100 for the refrigerator. Sometimes you have a seller that's so difficult. They're just so difficult that you just nobody can work out a deal with them. Sometimes you don't know that seller's difficult until you actually get an offer on the place. I don't know if you guys have ever had a seller that, they were super nice people. They seem to be really motivated. They seem like, hey, they told you 150,000, but they're willing to make a deal. They take a little less. Then you get an offer for 149, and they're going, "But we're asking 150. We gotta have it. We gotta have it, Jason." We've all had those sellers. Sellers just too difficult. Number 7, sometimes the reason the house don't sell is because of an act of God. They're getting showings and stuff, and sometimes it's things like maybe there's a hurricane, maybe there's a storm, maybe there's an earthquake, maybe there's, hey, a tree fell in the front yard, a tree fell over on the roof, and they got to get the roof fixed, and the house didn't sell. It needed repairs. It was an act of God, something that me or you, no way we could control. It happens sometimes. Number 8, this is my favorite one. I got a story I want to tell you guys. Sometimes the house doesn't sell because of pets. I had a listing. This was a few years ago. House was priced well. It was out, for you guys that know the Myrtle Beach market. It was out in the Conway market. Little 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. Pictures looked good. It was sitting on like like 3/4 of an acre or something like that. And I mean, I'm looking at this thing. I called the lady. I talked to her, and we set the appointment, and I'm like beating my head against the wall, right? I mean, this thing is like, why didn't this house sell? There must be something there, right? And but I pull my comps, I do all my stuff I normally do, and I get ready to go and show up at the house. And I'm sitting there in my car, like looking through my stuff real quick, just to make sure I got everything, because I like to be like super prepared. When I show up, I'm prepared to do business. You know, I'm not showing up just, it ain't a social visit for me. It's a business, it's a meeting where we are going to do business, right? That's how every one of your listing appointments need to be. It needs to be a meeting where you're showing up to do business. Okay, as I'm sitting there, I look up and this giant dog comes around the thing. She's got some kind of bulldog, massive dragon giant thing. I mean, this dog's head was as big as my steering wheel, and this thing didn't look friendly, right? I mean, he looked like he was a dog, like he was big enough I could ride him like a horse. I see this dog, and I will tell you, like, I'm usually not scared of dogs, but I wasn't going to get out of the car with this dog there. And I will tell you this: if I had clients with me, I would have never let them get out of my car with that dog there. If I'm stupid and I get bit by a dog, that's one thing. I'm not letting my client get bit by a dog, right? So I'm sitting there a second. I'm like, surely this thing is just raising hell. He's barking like crazy. He's acting like he's going to eat my tire. And I called the lady and I said, "Hey," I said, I'm out here in your front yard. I said, "I don't know if your dog's friendly or not, but I was wondering if you could just step outside." And she steps outside. She tells me the dog's friendly. And sure enough, I get out of the car and this dog is like, I mean, he's like a stuffed animal. And I fully understand this. I mean, we got a big dog. If you guys hadn't seen him, his name's Copper and he's a golden doodle. And to look at him, he looks like a teddy bear, but his bark sounds ferocious. He sounds like a monster. So as we're walking around the lady's house, she is showing me the house, and this dog is so big. He's got like a full size basketball that's just deflated a little bit. And he's carried around in his mouth, and he's bumping me against the backs of my legs. And I'm going, Jesus, man, he's about to tear off my leg any minute. And I'd reach back and pet him so often, and he liked to take and he'd like grab my hand with his mouth, like he was playing. Man, he was so big, man. Every time he'd do it, I was about to have to make a trip to the bathroom and get myself cleaned up. Every time he do that, man, this dog was scary. So it dawned on me right then, the reason why this house hasn't sold is because every time somebody would come up to her house, this dog would run around from the back of the house, bark like crazy, and the buyer's agent wouldn't let their clients get out, and they'd back up and leave. And then as I'm talking to the lady, I said, "Hey, so what's happened on these other appointments you've had?" And she goes, "Well, what's been happening is people get here and they pull up my driveway and they turn around and leave." And I said, "Well, the reason they're doing that is because of your dog." And she looked at me like she just couldn't believe it. She looked at me like she was almost in disbelief. And I said, "I understand, I've had big dogs and stuff before, and he's super friendly, but is there something we can do with him?" And I talked with her. We decided that what would happen is she had a friend that would come get the dog on days that it would be shown if she was working. So we made arrangements for the dog, and I tell you what, we had a contract in like 3 or 4 weeks on the house. We had massive showings on the house. And I knew about it. I knew what the problem was. I put it in the agent remarks. Seller has large dog. Please call me to make sure that the dog is contained. He's very friendly, but please call, right? And so if somebody did pull up, the dog ran around, they understood there was a massive dog. They understood that they need to call for appointments. It was an easy sell of the house. That dog as I fully believe, that dog kept that house from selling, right? Number nine reason a home typically expires is the home's condition. Sometimes it isn't the condition of the actual home, it's the condition at which the sellers keep the inside of the house. I've learned this in the real estate business. My idea of something being clean and your idea of something being clean could be very, very different. And sometimes you can go in, you can talk to a seller, you can say, "Hey guys, can we clean this up?" You hire a staging expert, they do whatever they do, everything looks fantastic for the pictures. And then, 30 minutes after the pictures are took, it looks like a tornado went through the house. And sometimes people don't understand their houses, it's filthy, and it's gross actually, right? I had a lady one time. I went on an appointment to her house, and I go in the house and I walk in the front door and I look around, and it's one of those things where I almost want to take my shirt and cover up my mouth so I didn't breathe in the stuff I felt like was floating in the air. I was self I was self conscious, and she tells me, she goes, "Oh my gosh, I cleaned up 3 days. Wait, 3 days getting ready for you to come." And I'm looking around, going, "My God, what did you clean up?" She had clothes. She had clothes that she'd washed hanging on hangers in the bedroom doorways, and she didn't understand that her house is in really bad condition. We could have got the best staging expert in the world to come in there and clean up and help her organize things. But the thing is, 24 hours after the staging expert left, it's going to be in the same condition. So sometimes you got to figure out how to deal with those things. But sometimes the home's condition will, and the cleanliness of the home will prevent it from selling. This lady, she had so much stuff in some of the bedrooms that the bedroom, you couldn't walk in. You just opened the door and kind of peeked around. There's a little path cut through the closet. Number 10, sometimes as a listing agent, sometimes as a real estate agent, I think we're just a little bit too confident with things. And, we know we should be doing 90-day listing agreements, 6-month listing agreements and things like that. But man, the house is good looking house, is priced right. And we just know we can sell this thing, and the seller offers us 2 weeks and we take it. They offer us 30 days, 30-day listing agreement, and we take it. I've been guilty of doing that before. But man, this house is, they won't, it's an excellent deal. I'm going to take it because I know I can sell it in 30 days, right? And we just run out of time. Something happens. We get a couple of offers. We get an offer. We get kind of bogged down on. We get an offer that falls apart, and the house expires, and we just run out of time. That happens, and it happens a lot more than some of us would like to think. So the main point of this part of today's presentation is I want you guys to understand it isn't always the price that's causing the house to expire. There's a lot of other factors sometimes that can make the house expire. And sometimes it's the seller's fault. Sometimes it's the agent's fault. Sometimes the agents just didn't know. It can be a lot of different things. Now, I want to talk to you a minute about where does contact information from expireds come from. I feel like this is there's some ideas out there that are a little bit crazy when it comes to expired information. And now expired information, what it is it's actually mined data. Now, here's the thing. I work with RedX and I've been using them for over 10 years. I like the fact that I can open up my laptop and my lead, I have phone numbers, leads, and stuff waiting on me. Now, the thing is, some agents believe that they can look up numbers themselves, and you can go online and you can look up information yourself. However, here's the thing. We only have access to a small amount of information that we can actually look up ourselves without paying, insane amounts of money for databases. However, all expired information is mined. What RedX does, and I'm going to tell you all their secrets, guys. Let me ask you guys, if you're on Zoom, raise your hand, click the thumbs up. Do you want me to tell you RedX secret? You want me to tell you what they're doing and how they're getting their information? And this is for all the companies out there. I'm going to tell you their secret. You guys want to hear it? What they're doing is they pay for data, right? They pay for these massive databases. And there's some really smart people that are sitting in a room at RedX. And I've met them. I've actually been there and I met these guys. They're sitting in a room and they're coming up with these really fancy algorithms and they're programming them. And what those algorithms are doing is they're taking the address 123 Main Street and they're looking through this massive amount of data and they're looking for numbers that could be correct for that address, that are associated with that address or that particular homeowner. Okay. Now, what most expired services do is they look for the number that could be possible, right? And their algorithm determines how good the data is. And what I've found over the last 10 years is I believe RedX has the best algorithm out there, and I feel like they have the data to prove that. And they also have another product called Onyx, and what Onyx gives you, which is really exciting, is Onyx gives you all of the data, right? So rather than somebody coming up with some mathematical formula on a computer and sorting through that data for you to figure out which one might be good and which one might be bad, and giving you the ones they think are good, RedX Onyx gives you all the data they can find that was associated with 123 Main Street. And your job is to go through that, sift through that data on your first calls, figure out which numbers are right, which numbers are wrong. Sometimes you might get the girlfriend that lived there 3 years ago, right? But all expired data is mined data. Now, where this is different than for sale by owner data is for sale by owner data is data that is user submitted, right? For sale by owners are basically going out there and they're going somewhere in the world, Craigslist, Zillow, wherever it is, and they are actually taking and putting their phone number on a website somewhere. That's why for sale by owner data is typically about 95% correct. Sometimes the seller puts the wrong phone number in by accident, my cell phone number is one number off from Alcoholics Anonymous. I get a lot of Alcoholics Anonymous calls sometimes, and sometimes the seller puts in the wrong number accidentally. They hit a 4 instead of a 5, and the thing is that this mine data, there's no company that's going to give you 100% correct numbers. So I want you guys to understand that about expired data, because the thing is, they're not going to give you 100% of the numbers for 100% of the expireds. They're going to be 100% correct, because it just doesn't happen. But that's how expired information is found by expired companies, is searching massive databases with an algorithm. And the thing is, the better the company is, hopefully the better the data is, and that's the thing about RedX. I've found over the years their data is the best, but that is where it actually comes from. So guys, why should you be calling expireds? Now I know there's a lot of agents that they like to ask me things, like, oh, well, I call for sale by owners, I don't need to call expireds, or I do this and this and this. Why should I call expireds? I'm going to tell you why. Expireds are low-hanging fruit, right? I want you guys to raise your hand or click the heart button. If you knew a seller was out there in the world that wanted to sell their house in your market, would you call that seller if you had their number? Raise your hand if you would do that. That is the reason you should call expireds. You know they want to sell their house because they had it listed with another agent. You know they're willing to work with another agent because they had it listed with another agent. You know they're willing to pay a commission. You know how you know they're willing to pay a commission? Because they had it listed with another agent. I don't understand why you should not be calling expireds. That's the thing. That's the beauty of these types of listings. Yeah, you're not going to list 100% of the expired listings on your market, but you know that these are some of the best leads you can get, right? Like for sale by owners. Somebody asked me, why should I call for sale by owners? I said, my God, they know they want to sell their house. Do you know how they know they want to sell their house? They go to Walmart and they buy a red and white sign and they stick it in their front yard. These expireds are the same way. They want to sell their house because they had it listed with another agent. They'll pay a commission because they had it listed with another agent, So now here's the thing. I hear about expireds all the time. Agents talk about, expireds are mean, or, they're getting called by a lot of agents. And I'm going to get to that in a few minutes here. But the first thing I always think is if we can figure out somebody's mindset, we can figure out sometimes why they're doing the stuff they're doing. And, this goes for, you guys that are, that are hearing all the craziness about expireds. Expireds are mean. Expireds are getting hammered on the phone by other agents. Um, oh, they don't want to talk to me. I get hung up on. I'm going to tell you why they're doing it. I think that if we understand their mindset a little bit better, we can understand this lead source a little bit better and understand what we need to do, right? If we can understand why they're doing what they're doing, then we can understand how we can better get an idea of how we need to respond to what they're doing to us, right? Now, 7 things. I come up with 7 things. I share this with my group coaching here. I come up with 7 things that I think are going through the mind of an expired. The number one thing a lot of them are feeling is they're feeling angry. You know, their house didn't sell. They had a problem. They had something they needed to do. And selling this house was a very integral part of this. And, you know, it didn't sell. And they're looking, lots of times, when something doesn't go the way you want it to go, you're mad. You're not going to be mad at yourself. You're not going to be the person that says, man, I didn't chain up my dog, or I didn't lock up my dog when people were coming over and he's, 275 pounds, They're not going to blame themselves or blame the dog. They're going to blame their agent. Number two, a lot of them feel like they're let down. They met an agent that let them in their house. You know, that agent laughed at all their jokes. They laughed at that agent's jokes. They bonded over some crazy random story, or they went to the same college together, and that agent promised them the world, and they kind of felt like, you know, they were let down. That agent told them they could do it and didn't get done. Sometimes number three, they feel defeated, right? You ever worked really hard on doing something? These people, they worked really hard on keeping their house clean and making sure it was ready to show at any time. And, hey, they got that feeling of defeat. They tried really hard on their end, and the only person that didn't try hard was their agent. How many times have you guys heard stuff like that? Sometimes they feel like they were lied to. Their agent promised them the world. They told them all kind of stuff. And hey, guys, I've been an agent for 14 years. I've heard, I think, every lie that an agent can tell a seller or buyer. Um, but they felt like they were lied to. They felt like they failed. Number five. Sometimes, lots of times, they feel like they can do better than the listing agent. Sometimes their house expired. So what they did was they put an ad on Craigslist yesterday. They got 3 showings this weekend. The other agent didn't have 3 showings in 6 months. What they didn't realize was the agent took bad pictures, had a bad description, never answered their phone, and was difficult to get along with. That's why they didn't get any showings. And the Craigslist showings are getting normally they're going to show up. They're going to try to beat them up on price. They're going to ask them for some funky owner financing thing, or they're just shopping around. They're not approved or anything. The thing is, your average client out there, the average seller that we're working with may have never sold a house. If they have sold a house, it's probably been so long ago that things have changed. I mean, you guys think about like TRID guidelines, the closing documents and stuff. Man, those just changed a few years ago. So if you sold a house, if you bought and sold a house 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, you don't know what that is. You know what I mean? Lots of sellers don't know how to pre-qualify the buyer. If the buyer showed up on their doorstep today and said, hey, I want to buy your house and I'll give you full price, they're probably going to look at each other and say, we don't know what to do next. You would not believe how many times prospecting I've been calling somebody, I built a good rapport with them and stuff, and the next thing I know on the phone, on my 10th or 12th follow-up, they're going, oh, Jason, we got a buyer for my house. My next question, my response to that all the time is when they say, Jason, we got a buyer for our house. I say, man, that is fantastic. What do you need me to help you do? And about once a quarter, once every 2 or 3 months, I'll have somebody say, well, we don't know what to do. How much will you charge us just to handle the transaction? I make a deal with them. I show up. I meet the seller. I meet the buyer all at the same time, sign the paperwork with everybody sitting around the kitchen table, drop it off by the attorney's office on my way back home. And I just got a transaction. I just made a deal. And it wasn't, they'd done everything. They had that perfect buyer show up. It was pre-approved and everything, but they didn't know what to do. That's the general public needs us. That's why we have a place. That's why that's why a lot of, they always say the agent killers out there. That's why the agent killer has not happened, because we have a place in this industry and we have a place in transactions, right? Number 7, a lot of sellers feel like all agents are the same. Sometimes they've listed a house before, they listed a house again, and hey, both agents did the same thing. So, guys, here's the thing though. Sometimes when you're talking to them, sometimes, that seller seems a little bit angry at you. They're not angry at you. They're just angry at the situation that you're in or that they're in, right? They don't know you. More than likely, they don't know you. Um, Here's the thing. Even if they are angry at you, even if they do get mad at you on the phone, in 14 years, I've never had anybody try to eat me through the phone. I've never had anybody try to punch me through the phone. I've never had anybody recognize me in Walmart later on in the afternoon and want to fight with me, right? They don't really know who you are. They're not angry at you. They're angry at the situation they're in. And the thing is, I feel like I am the best person to help them with that. Now, and Ben, you're right. You said that you feel like 90% of the people you get on the phone have no interest in talking to you. What about the 10% of the people that are interested in talking to you? That's the great thing about the real estate business too, is, in the game of baseball, right? You can hit 4 out of 10 and you're a Hall of Fame player. In the real estate business, really, you can get 1 or 2 out of 10 and make a fantastic living. You don't have to get every one. And a lot of those people you can get through follow-up. Now, what do you do? Now, here's the question. I know all of you guys have been sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for it. Now, what do you do with all this stuff that I just gave you? You know where expired listings are coming from. You know how these expired sellers feel. What do you do? Okay. You have to build your sales and follow-up process in a way that builds trust. That is your weapon, your ability, your sales and follow-up process, and your ability to build trust with a client. Let that sink in for you guys just a second here. And look at your process. Think about your process here. You have the process that you're doing with sellers, what you're doing in your business. Are you following a system that builds trust, right? And builds confidence. So I got some more stuff I want to go through. I'm going to try to speed things up. I know I'm running out of time here. I want to talk to you guys, and I think this is going to help some of you guys. 7 reasons why most agents fail at expires. I feel like if we figure out the reasons agents are failing, we can look at what we're doing, we can compare those things, and we can figure out where we can improve. So the number one reason why agents are failing when they're going after expireds and prospecting expireds is they never call expireds enough to get really good at calling. Think about this. Guys, would you want to go to a surgeon that does surgery 1 time a month? Is he going to be really good at doing that surgery if he does it once a month? Are you going to be really good at calling expireds if you only call expireds once a month? If you go to the gym once a month, are you going to see results from it? This is the same thing. The reason most agents don't get really good at listing expired listings and get really good at listing properties in general is they don't work on listing property enough. They never go on enough listing appointments. They never make enough calls to get really good at setting listing appointments. Number 2, they don't use a script, right? They just show up, they just pick up the phone, and here is the script. In my coaching call this morning, I had an agent that said, man, I'm like the 39th call on expireds, because we kind of talked about expireds and making calls a little bit this morning. And the thing is, here's the script that most of your competition is using. If you're the 39th person, the other 38 people, they typically use the script. Hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason with ABC Realty. You want to list your house with me? And the seller goes, no, click. They go, oh, okay, he didn't want to list with me. No kidding, they don't want to list with you, right? They already tried that. That is the script most of them are using. Most agents, listen to it. If you're in a big office, how many agents go, oh, I don't like to use a script. I don't like to use a script because it makes me sound like a robot or it makes me sound canned. Here's the thing. If you're not asking the same questions over and over again, you're not going to know the answers, right, to the questions you're asking. If you ask those same 5 or 6 questions over and over again, you're going to learn all the answers to those 5 or 6 questions. Now, there's a lot of classes, there's a lot of webinars, a lot of stuff that teach us how to get better at working with buyers and sellers in our market. I will tell you this, there are no classes for sellers to teach them new objections to tell us as agents. The same objections I get today in 2018, I was getting in 2004 when I first started selling real estate. There are no more. There's always, I don't want to work with an agent. I don't want to pay a real estate commission. I'll pay you 3% if you bring a buyer, right? That's probably 70, 80% of the objections that you will get out there. Number 3, most agents out there, they have no sales process. They have no pre-listing package, right? I'm a big advocate for pre-listing packages. You go to jasonmorrisprelistingpackage.com and download mine if you don't, my template if you don't have one, but I'm a big advocate for having a pre-listing package. Your pre-listing package is your brochure that tells about you and your team and what you do to sell real estate. Now, here's the thing that most agents do. I want to control what information the seller knows about Jason Morris and how Jason Morris sells houses. So the best way for me to do that is provide them the information, right? It lets them know who I am, know that I'm a real person. There's a lot of scams out in the world. And it tells them what I do. So if you don't have that information that you're providing them, and they do kind of like you on the phone, you build a little bit of rapport, then you've got to hope that the Google gods show you in a preferable light. And you got to hope that there isn't another, Ben Barreto or Paula Hendricks out there that was a really bad person that lives 2 hours away that was in the newspaper last month, right? Providing this, I'll tell you, I did a seminar in Dallas last week. One of the questions I asked, there was about 77 people in the room. I asked, how many people here have a pre-listing package on the desktop of their computer that you can send somebody right now? 10 people out of 77 answered the phone. Might have been 11. Let's just say there was 11. Maybe I forgot a person. They like half raised their hand, 11 people out of 77 raised their hand. Okay. Then I asked, how many of you send that pre-listing package to every single person you talk to about selling their house? And all of a sudden there was only 3 people. And that was in a seminar where people have listened to me and they've heard me say this. There was only 3 out of 77. So what about the general agent population? I bet 99% of the agents don't have this in your market. And my response to a seller, I love hearing this, guys, when a seller goes, oh, I got another agent I'm interviewing too. My response is fantastic. I think you should interview another agent. And let me tell you what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to ask them for their marketing plan. That way you can lay mine beside theirs and compare apples to apples, because I know that other agent more than likely, like 9.9 out of 10 times, does not have one. So I know that, when I get to the appointment, I ask Mr. Seller or Miss Seller, gosh, did you get their marketing plan? They say, oh, no, they didn't send me one. My response is, oh my gosh, I hope they're not just going to stick a sign in your front yard and just hope for the best. And they look at me and say, they didn't have a plan they could provide you, did they? Because that's what these people are buying into. They're buying into, they want to use an agent that has a plan, right? Would you want to go to a doctor and have surgery that didn't have a plan? If you had a legal problem, would you want to go to an attorney and pay them a lot of money? Because attorneys are crazy. They're expensive, right? Would you want to go pay an attorney a lot of money that didn't have a plan, couldn't tell you, hey, this is what we're going to do? Think about that. Think about that in your personal life. If you had to have surgery You had two doctors to choose from. And one of them said, well, we're just going to get in there and kind of look around and do it, see if we can figure things out. Then you went to the second doctor and he says, hey, Jason, this is step 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your rehab program. This is how long it's going to take till you're brand new. Which doctor would you use? You'd be crazy not to use doctor number 2, right? But this is what your pre-listing package does for you. This is what your sales process is going to do for you. It's going to help you build trust and confidence that you are the person that can help them accomplish what their goal is. Number 4. Okay, this is something I see over and over again. They keep talking about listing the house. Other agents are calling them up and they're going, hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason. Seeing your house expired on MLS. Will you relist your house with me? And the seller just flips out on them probably. Even for sale owners though, the agents keep talking about listing their house. If you're calling expireds, the seller just tried listing their house. It didn't work. Let's not talk about that. They don't want to do that again. Lasted 6 months and it was horrible. So seller just tried that. So here's the thing. In our industry, for some reason or another, the term listing is really just slang anyway. It's industry slang. Really what these sellers want to talk about is selling their house. They don't care about listing their house. They want to sell it. So that's what we need to talk about, selling it. Think about this. When you hear somebody say, oh, I listed my house with so-and-so, the rest of the sentence is usually, oh, and it sat there for 6 months and the agent never called me back and it didn't sell. Oh, if you hear somebody say, oh, I sold my house, they never really mention listing it, right? The only time we hear the general public talk about listing their house is when it's attached to a negative ending, right? So for some reason, the general public has developed a negative mindset when it comes to listings. Now, I would be willing to believe that you are probably, and this is pretty strong when I say this, you're probably better off saying the F word on the phone talking with the seller than you are saying the L word on the phone talking to the seller. Think about that, guys. I think it's kind of crazy, but I guarantee you, if you change your word usage here and you take out listing when you're talking to the general public, you're going to see a lot of difference in your conversations. Number 5. The next thing these agents are doing that are just failing horribly at prospecting is they never follow up. The thing is, in my coaching call this morning, an agent say typically it's taking him 5 or more touches, 5 or more conversations on the phone to set an appointment. I think that is probably pretty accurate. Sometimes it takes 10 or 12. A lot of agents who go out there and what they do is they have a meaningful conversation with the seller. And we're all guilty of doing this. So I'm not hating or saying I'm perfect because I've done the same thing. We have a meaningful conversation with the seller. They tell you all their deep, dark secrets, right? They might even cry a little bit on the phone with you, telling you about selling their house and how they're behind on payments, right? And they tell you, I can't meet with you Friday because Friday's not a good day. Will you call me back on Monday? And the agent never calls them back, right? And the thing is, think about this. Now, I have this belief, and I mentioned this several times on this call, that we're all the same in the actions that we do. Human nature in our country and our customs is pretty much the same for all of us. So whatever I'm probably doing, you're probably doing too. There are people that have called me on the phone probably today. I seen one pop up while we're doing this call here. And you know what? I want to work with that person, right? There are people that call me that I want to work with them. I want to buy their product. I want to subscribe to whatever it is they're selling, right? But I'm never going to call them back. And the reason is, hey, that guy called me when I was in the middle of this call, this webinar. You know what? I'm going to get on this webinar. I got stuff to do after. I got other return calls that are really important. I got other stuff to do. When I get home at 5:30, we're gonna eat dinner. Then I'm gonna play with our little baby, and me and Laura are probably gonna watch TV or do something. And hey, then it's bedtime, and like, dude, I just got busy and forgot. People are like this. If you don't follow up with them, they're not going to follow up with you because life happens, right? So that's the reason you got to follow up with them. That's the reason I wrote my follow-up day planner, right? Because agents don't follow up. So I gave 52 weeks of ideas to follow up with. So, but agents never follow up. And you need to plan to have, you know, 10, 12, 15, 20 follow-ups. I mean, before you throw a lead away. I wouldn't throw a lead away as long as they're answering the phone and have a friendly conversation with me, right? Number 6, most real estate agents, when they're on the phone, their posture on the phone sucks. Okay, I think I'm the only real estate agent that ever talks about posture, a real estate coach that ever talks about posture. Posture is a belief in what you're doing regardless of external acceptance or approval. It's not the way you're sitting in the chair, right? It's the way you come across. It's that belief that you know what you're doing works, right? Now, I'm going to give you 2 examples. A lot of agents get on the phone with people, and all of a sudden they go in mouse mode. Mouse mode's where you're going, hey, Mr. Seller, Jason Morris, I'm calling you because I'm really trying hard. I really want to list some houses, and I seen your house expired, and will you list your house with me, right? So many agents do that. And if the seller is kind enough, because that's what it amounts to on that, right? That agent basically is looking at that seller like the seller's a big giant up here and they're begging them for something. If that seller is kind enough to allow them to come in their house, then for the next 2 hours, that agent's going to sit on the couch and beg for the listing. And we have all seen this. We've heard stories of this, and this happens in our industry. Now, the way that I call sellers and the way that I talk to sellers is, my name is Jason Morris. I work for ABC Real Estate. I sell houses. I am calling you because I can sell your house. I saw you wanted to sell your house. I'm calling you because I can sell your house, right? My follow-up calls, you know what, one of my favorite follow-up calls, I'm going to tell you guys a quick story, and I'm going to tell you one of my favorite follow-up calls are I had one of my favorite follow-ups is when I've had 8 or 10 conversations, I've built some rapport with the seller. I'm getting to that point where, man, I've tried over and over to set appointments. Every follow-up call, I try to set another appointment. I don't believe you should make a follow-up call without offering value or trying to set an appointment. So my favorite one is, hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason Morris. We've been talking for several weeks. We've been talking for 2 months about selling your house. We've had a lot of conversations. Now, Mr. Seller, I want to tell you something. I sell houses and I'm really busy. The only reason I'm calling you is because I know that I can sell your house. You guys saw my pre-listing package, right? Okay. So you know what? You know that we have a plan when we get your house on the market, what to do with it. And we know how to get traffic through it. So I sell houses and you have a house to sell. When do you want me to start working for you? I can meet you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'll be in your area. Does that work for you? And be just that direct. I was one of the things I like to do is when I'm on the way to an appointment, I'm on the way back from an appointment, I like to cut through some neighborhoods and looking for sale by owner signs and stuff. And sometimes the best for sale by owner is that one that's at the very back of the neighborhood, that the Sharpie's almost faded off of that red and white sign. So this particular house, I'd followed up with the guy so much I'd kind of forgot about him. He just kind of fell through the cracks. And I mean, man, I'd probably been following up with him. The first time I called him, probably been 6 months before. I see the sign, and I pull over in the front yard, and I get out. I had to get out to actually see what the number was, and I dial the number, and the guy answers the phone, and I said, hey, this is Jason Morris. Man, you remember me? We talked. I sent you the email about me and my company and what we do to sell real estate. And he's like, yeah. I said, hey, man. I said, look here. I seen you still got this house for sale. And look here. I can sell this house. for you. When you want me to start working for you? I'm standing in your front yard right now." And he goes, "Oh, I don't know if we're real, we're not real serious about selling." And I said, "Oh man, well I understand how that is. You must be getting a lot of calls off this sign. If you want, man, I'm standing right here, and I can just take this sign and put it in the back of the car and throw it away for you. What you think about that?" And the guy starts laughing on the phone, and he goes, "No, no, no, don't do that. We got to sell. We got to sell." Anyway, that call ended up leading to me setting an appointment. But the posture is, I can sell your house. I have a plan to do it. I am the best person to use for you to use. I know what we can get for it. I know what your needs are, right? I am the best person to sell your house. The way that you build posture is, number one, you need to be aware of how you're saying it and what you're saying, right? Then you need to work on building confidence. The best way to build confidence is use a script so that you're asking the same questions over and over again. So guys, the number seven reason why most agents are not doing well selling and prospecting expired listings is they never offer any value, right? Even on their follow-up calls, a lot of agents, they just never offer value. They call you back up and they say, "Hey, Ben, Jason Morris again. How about list your house with me today?" Right? They never follow up and go, "Hey, Ben, we talked last week, man. I was doing a little bit of research in your area, and I know you want 150,000 for your house. I just seen one come on the market down the street from you for 159.9. Another one's pending for 154.9. Look here, man. If we go ahead and if you go ahead and let me start working on it today, your house will be the lowest price one on a corner lot. Your house will be the lowest price one on a pond." They never offer any value. The thing is, a lot of agents don't understand information is value, right? The reason why you guys are on this call, we've had over 150 agents on this call today. The reason why you guys are on this call is because I'm offering information you feel is valuable. There is value in information. Sellers find information about their community and houses coming on the market, going pending, and selling around theirs. They find that valuable. They find information that's going to directly affect them valuable. Would you tell somebody no if they said, "Hey, Nicholas, Jason Morris here, I've got some valuable information for you. I've been doing some research. I found something I think you should know about." Would you tell that person, "No, I'll see you later"? Nobody would. Well, I mean, maybe somebody would. Maybe there's that 1% that would, but most people wouldn't, right? So guys, I got a couple other things here. I know I've went over a little bit on you, but I promise it won't be that much longer. You guys getting some out of this? Are you guys do you like where this is going? You like what you're hearing? So let me know. Click the little heart button or raise your hand if you're on Zoom. So guys, I'm gonna end this here in just a second, and we're gonna have a little bit of question and answer time and stuff. So the first two steps, we went over 7 things that agents do that make them not very good at getting listings, not very good at prospecting, not very good at getting expires. I'm going to tell you the first 2 steps to get really good at prospecting. And, then the next 3 weeks, I've got more that I want to share with you, but these are the first 2 steps. The number one way that you get really good at prospecting is, number one, you got to prospect more, right? I'm going to show you guys how to do that in just a second. And number 2, you got to use a script. Number 2, you got to use a script. So how do you prospect more? The way that you prospect more is you schedule yourself to prospect more. I'm going to tell you the number one way to guarantee I'm not going to do something is for me not to put it in my calendar, not for me to write it down in my day planner or anything. The thing that most agents are missing is we don't have a schedule. And this is the crazy thing about the real estate industry. We all have a job, right? Our job's to help buyers and sellers. It's pretty easy when you really break it down. That we only have 2 clients we can represent, a buyer or a seller, right? Even if you're representing a bank, it's still a seller, right? And agents, for some reason, we complicate it until it's so convoluted and stuff that we make our job seem a lot harder than it is. But the real estate business is about buyers buying houses, sellers selling houses. It's about us getting in the middle of it and hopefully facilitating the transaction and making it a little bit easier. That's what we do as real estate agents. That's what our job is. People are going to buy and sell houses without us, right? But with us, hopefully, makes the process quicker and easier and saves everybody money and headache and time and all that fun stuff, you know? So, but the thing about agents is we're probably one of the only professions where you can not show up on Monday, not have an excuse and everything's fine, not show up on Tuesday, not have an excuse and everything's fine. You know, show up later in the week, show up at the office around Thursday because, you know, the mortgage person's serving lunch, you know, mortgage person's got catered lunch coming in, and, you know, real estate agents, we really like free lunch. And then we show up to the office on Friday and everything's fine. If we were at any other job and we didn't show up on Monday, it might be okay, right? Been there for a while, you got some rapport, they like you, you know. Monday might be fine. Tuesday, you know, you kind of need an excuse. By Wednesday, you're probably going to need a doctor's note, right? And if you don't have a reason, a doctor's note, or anything on Thursday, they're going to be interviewing new people for your job. So most agents don't have a schedule. I've learned from having the group real estate agents that really work and talking to literally thousands of real estate agents over the last couple of years, and through Facebook and telephone, one-on-one, and things like that. Man, most agents don't know what they're going to do when they get up out of the bed in the morning. And I'll tell you guys, I've been guilty of this before, where my cell phone would wake me up in the morning, and I would literally just work until, like, basically I was passing out. And it sucks. And most agents just end up in reaction mode all day. And the thing that's going to set you free from that is having a schedule. And the thing that's going to guarantee you that you're going to prospect more and get more listings and get really good at prospecting is to have a schedule and have that time planned. Now, I'm going to give you guys some basics. I'm going to give you the basic way to make a schedule, right? The number one problem that I hear in my group coaching is that you have a time management schedule. Everybody has a problem with time, not enough time, right? It was a problem 14 years ago. It's a problem today. You know, they've created apps, books, all kind of stuff, and it just doesn't solve the problem, right? It's not time management that we need help with. It's time choices. The number one thing that needs to go in your schedule is family time. Okay, the reason why this needs to be number one is because if your family time and your business time collide, only one's typically going to survive. And either way, one is going to put stress on the other if you do not plan for family time. If you have to take the kids to school in the morning and you're not going to be able to get to the office till 8:30, why are you scheduling yourself at 8? Why are you beating yourself up to be at the office at 8 when you know that you have to take the kids to school? Your kids have football practice, ballet, whatever it is, after school activities. You know, one of the biggest things I see is agents will take and they schedule a listing appointment at 2 o'clock, but then they got to pick the kids up from school at 3. So they never looked at their schedule. So then it just causes more problems and it causes more stress and aggravation. If your family time and your business time collide, only one's going to work out, right? I think in the real estate industry, like 80% of us are divorced. This is why we never schedule family time, you know? Oh, think about it. How many of you guys have canceled stuff with your kids and your family on Saturday because a buyer came into town? These next 4 weeks, I'm going to show you how to quit doing that. Okay. But family time needs to go in your schedule first. Like, you know, when your kids are going to school, you know, when date night is, you know, when whatever it is going on. And you guys can, I mean, you should at least be able to do this for the next 30 days, right? Next 45 days. Guys, we all know when Valentine's Day is, right? Don't act like it snuck up on you. You know, number 2, we need to put in non-negotiable business things, right? This is meeting with your accountant, continuing education. If you're going to chamber events and networking, needs to go in your schedule, right? They're not going to change the time of the chamber event because of you. Your dentist appointment that you have next Tuesday at 10, he isn't going to work around your schedule because you took a listing appointment and you forgot about it, and, you know, you got to miss one or the other, right? Put in your non-negotiable business items. Number 3 is prospecting. Now, I believe that prospecting in lead generation time is so important. I think that if you had to choose between prospecting and a listing appointment, I think you should choose prospecting, right? If you had to cancel one or the other for the other one. So if you had a listing appointment, but that person couldn't meet you except for 11 o'clock in the morning, and your prospecting time was 10 to 11, dude, you need to see if they can move it back to 11:30. That prospecting time is the most important thing in your business. This is the reason why a lot of agents, you see an agent, and we've all done this in our business, this myself including. You have January is fantastic. You have 5 closings. You have 10 closings. Then February, March, and April, you have 0. It's because the thing is, when we get busy, all of a sudden we think lead generation time, prospecting time isn't as important, so we quit doing it. And then when we feel like it's important again, we don't have any business. And in our business, we typically work on a 60 to 90-day cycle. No matter how much we want to tell ourselves differently and we want to tell sellers differently, it's going to take 60 to 90 days for you to sell a house. If the house is priced well, it's ready to go, right? It's going to take typically 2 to 4 weeks to be on the market, 30 days of being on the market, and then 30 to 45 days being on the market. Then if the buyer's getting a loan, it's going to take 30 to 45 days to close. It doesn't matter what market you're in. If you're in a super hot market, like Denver or places in California and stuff where you're getting multiple offers, think about that. How many times these multiple offers fall apart because there's an appraisal issue, there's who knows what kind of issue, but there's some kind of issue falls apart, then you have to start all over. It takes 30 to 45 days to get a solid buyer, 30 to 45 days to close a loan with the best lender that's really on top of things. We always work on a 60 to 90-day cycle. If you don't have business today, it's probably because of what you were doing or not doing 60 to 90 days ago. If you consistently prospect, you will start getting consistent listing appointments. You will start taking consistent listings. And then before you know it, you will start getting consistent closings and consistent paychecks. I promise you guys that. The number 4 thing that needs to go into your schedule is everything else. This is all your stuff, your paperwork time. If you got a blog you want to work on, if you want to work on video, if you want to work on, man, agents work on so many crazy things nowadays. We're always chasing a new shiny object, I think. But whatever else you want to work on, this is when you schedule it. You write it in. Hey, I'm gonna write 5 blog posts on Tuesday between 2 and 3 o'clock, right? But if you do not schedule, if you do not put it in your schedule, it is not going to get done. I believe this too, and I should have put this in there. I believe that if we all made a schedule and we put prospecting time in there, we prospect every day. And I seen somebody asked a question about prospecting. And yes, I believe that you should prospect every day that you have set aside to work. I think you should prospect 2 to 3 hours a day, right? Depending on what your goals are, 2 to 3 hours a day. If you track your numbers, you can really, really fine tune that. And if you want to take extra 10 listings, if you want to do whatever it is, you can look back at your numbers and you can figure out how to scale your prospecting, your call time, right? It's really crazy. RedX has the tools inside of their Vortex to actually do that. But if we just followed our schedule 75, 80% of the time, our business would take off, right? If we followed a regular, consistent prospecting schedule, yes, I use a dialer. If we followed a regular prospecting schedule and we followed it, man, 75% of the time, we do more deals. Our business would improve by probably, some of us, our business might improve 200 or 300%, but it would probably improve, if you want to add another 20 deals to your year, look at the time you're prospecting. Look at the time you're prospecting and what you're doing during your day, and you can add that 20 deals a year. So guys, next thing I want to talk about, the number 2 way to get really good at prospecting is a script. And I'm going to go through this really quick. We're going to do some question and answer. Okay, guys, if you're using the same script over and over again, you're going to get really good at anticipating the answers. It might take 100 conversations. It might take 100 conversations for you to get all the answers and get really good at responding to their answers, right? It might take you 500, it might take you 1,000. I don't know. Here's the thing: you can't compare yourself to the person sitting next to you because we don't know what their history is, right? Like me, I had an agent ask me today. They said, "Oh, well, how many times do you set an appointment on the first call?" And I go, "Dude, you can't compare yourself to me being brand new, starting out. I've been doing this 14 years, man. It's like a black belt in martial arts comparing themselves to a green belt, or whatever the first one is. Man, the more you've been doing it, the better you're going to get at it." Right? The more you use the same script over and over again, the better you're going to get at that script. The thing I see agents do over and over again is they start making calls and they're starting to set some appointments. They're getting good at it. They're getting an appointment every now and then, right? And then they go on Facebook, they go on the internet or whatever, and they read something where an agent says, "Oh, I set 3 appointments yesterday." First thing they ask is, "What was the script you use?" And that agent goes, "Oh, I'll email it to you." And they email it to you, and you quit using the script that you just started getting really good at, and you start using another script. And when you start using that other script, there's a learning curve because you got all brand new questions. So now you're going to get brand new answers. And lots of times you're going to get brand new objections. Most of the objections we get are objections we created ourselves. My favorite objection that we get, that agents create, is they had a great conversation with a seller. Had a great conversation with a seller. Seller really likes him. I mean, everything's going good in the conversation. Then the agent goes, "Hey, Mr. Seller, what's the best time for me to come out and look at your house?" And they go, "Oh, well, Jason, I don't know. I'll have to talk to my wife and I'll call you back." Most agents will sit there by the phone and say, "Yep, he said he was going to call me back and he's going to do it. I believe him. Nice guy." Right? And they don't ever call back. All right. But we created that objection. And when you create that objection, it's hard to back up and overcome it, because you created it. But if you use a script, right, you'll start learning when you have those things. You'll start learning when you have that situation where you created that objection and you're aware that you created that objection. Then you modify your script a little bit where you're not saying, "Hey, Mr. Seller, what's the best time to meet you?" You're going, "Hey, Mr. Seller, I got some time at Tuesday at 2. Would Tuesday at 2 work for you?" And they say, "Oh, Tuesday at 2 won't work for me." And your next question is, "Oh gosh, do you work a regular 8 to 5 job?" You let them answer. When they answer yes, you say, "Well, I tell you what, how about if I meet you at 6 o'clock? That gives you plenty of time to get home and get settled before I get there. Does that work for you?" Right? But if you use a script, you're just always going to know what to say, and it won't be long, and you know what all the answers are going to be to the questions you're answering. So one of the things that I keep telling agents too in my group coaching is, if we got good, agents try to come up with a script for everything, they have all these random things and they go out there and they role play with other agents and they come up with these things that literally happened one time in the history of South Carolina real estate, and then they're all worried about, like, how do they come up with a script to overcome that objection? Guys, we get the same 3 to 5 objections like 80-90% of the time. What would happen if you got really good at asking those 5 or 6 questions that's in your script, that's in your expired script and in your forced homeowner script? I believe we should use similar scripts. I know that sounds crazy too, but really you're having the same conversation. You're just having it with a different person. It's in a little bit different situation, but both of them want to sell their house. So why not ask them the same questions? It doesn't really make a lot of sense what I see some real estate coaches and what some agents are doing. They think they got to have a special script for a bunch of different special things, but it's not the case in most situations. After that first question or two, really you're having the same conversation. So, but what would happen if you got really good at asking those same 5 or 6 questions over and over again, and then you got really good and you started practicing and role playing that script and those same 5 or 6 objections three to 5 times a week? Man, how would that change your business? What if you knew what to say when somebody said, "Oh, I don't want to work with an agent"? What if you knew what to say immediately? You don't want to work with an agent? Oh, well, you do want to sell your house, right? You go, "Oh yeah, I do want to sell my house," and then you just go right back into your script. My favorite objection to get, I'll tell you guys, my favorite objection to get is the one where they say, where where they say, "Oh well, I'll pay you 3% if you bring a buyer." Man, that is fantastic. I'm not going to bring a buyer on the first time I come to your house, but I would like to meet you Thursday at 2. Will that work for you? Right? I know, okay, when I get that objection, man, I know they're willing to work with me, right? They're willing to work with an agent. They want me to come by their house. I'm going to send them my pre-listing package so they know about me, my team, what we do to sell real estate. I'm going to go through my same sales process I go with everybody else. The only thing we're doing at that point, they've told me that they're willing to pay me 3%. I just got to get them to come up a little bit more. We're just negotiating what I want to get paid. I think that's the best objection I can get. I know that I got the listing. There's a good chance I'm going to list their house when they tell me that. It's wild. And it's because that is an objection that I am just so prepared for. So, guys, I got a little bit of time here for some question and answer. I know I went over that hour. I promised you guys. Sorry, guys, at Red X, I promised everybody an hour. We went closer to an hour and a half. But guys, what questions do you guys have, and what can I help you with today? Guys, Stormline Dialer. Redx's Storm Dialer is actually a 3-line dialer now. Um, so you can do 3 lines. You can do 1. You can do 3. You can actually do 2. They have a lot of different options. It's 3-line dialer is brand new. Ellen, the link is jasonmorrisprelistingpackage.com. So, Wendy, mindset, not to be so fearful of what they might say no to. The thing about fear is, lots of times fear, we created that fear ourselves, right? We created these ideas that the people are going to eat us through the phone. The general public didn't, because honestly, most people are nice people. Most people don't really want to have a face-to-face confrontation with you as adults. Like, I'm 36. I don't want to get hit in the face, But the thing that you got to do, there's a lot of ways to overcome fear. I mean, one of the best ways that I think to do it is think of things you're more afraid of. Make a list of things you're more afraid of, right? Make a list of the things you're more afraid of and look at that list. When you feel that fear, look at that list. Like, for some people, it might be they don't want to go back to, whatever job they had before real estate. They don't want another, like I told you so, from a spouse about what they could or couldn't do. They don't want, gosh, it could be so many things, for me, one of the reasons I got really good at working with sellers is because, man, I didn't want to work with buyers. Like, I didn't like canceling things. I didn't like not being able to plan my day and having to react to, craziness. And, hey, we came into town today. Can you show us property at 3? And, if you don't show them property at 3, they're just going to call another agent, So that was my biggest thing, that I was going to be stuck working with buyers like the whole time I was in the real estate business. I didn't like not being able to control my schedule. I didn't like not being able to go out of town. I didn't like, I got this idea that you can have 50 listings and 50 qualified buyers, and all 50 listings can be shown today, where those 50 qualified buyers, you're not going to be able to show them property this week, and I guarantee you're going to be canceling things with your friends and family and things that you really want to do. You're not going to have a life with the 50 qualified buyers. With the 50 listings, dude, things are easy. We were in Dallas last week. I sold a house while we were in Dallas. I mean, I wasn't even there. Hey, they didn't even have to call me to set up the appointment. It was set up on showing time. How easy was that? I went on a cruise like a couple of years ago. We were on a cruise. I sold 3 houses while we were on the cruise. I made 18 grand while we were on the ship in the Caribbean. You can't do that working with buyers, right? So, expired script, guys. What I'll do later on today, might be tonight, I'll upload my expired script for you guys. So be on the lookout for it. So, what are your call ratios? Number of dials a week, contacts, appointments. Adam, you know what? My ratios, like when I'm really calling and gosh, they're out of the world. You're going to get now. This is what I've seen. I want to give you some numbers I've seen from my group coaching because we did some surveys back in December, and I think this would give you like a realistic idea of just starting out and just being a newer agent or just being newer to prospecting, I should say. Um, it seems like it takes about you get one person on the phone for about every 7 to 9 dials. Okay. And that's what it seemed like my group coaching was getting in the month of December. 7 to 9 dials, one person on the phone. And it took 22.6 conversations to set one listing appointment. And listing appointments, I mean, I think a solid ratio is getting 70%, 80%. I mean, man, I probably get like closer to 100%. The only listings I don't get are the listings that I just don't want to list their house. I mean, if I don't get it the day I'm at their house, man, I get it through follow up. If I go to if you let me in your house to list your house and I want it, dude, you just aren't going to get rid of me. I'll camp out on your doorstep. I'll follow up with you every day. So a lot of agents just are not that persistent with their follow up. So, but 22.6 conversations seems to be normal. So, I mean, if you're using a dialer, a single line dialer, you could probably get Eric might give you a better idea of this, but you could probably get 60, 70 dials in. So you're looking at needing to make, if it's taking 8 people to get one person on the phone, you're looking at making 170 dials. So you're probably talking about prospecting 2.5 hours to set one appointment. But here's how it is too, man. Some days, dude, everybody answers the phone and everybody loves you. And when you get those days, dude, you call as hard and as long as you can. Other days, nobody answers, and when they do answer, they're angry. And those days, you cut yourself a little bit of slack. You know what I mean? So, Trenton, been using Red X. How come it didn't leave a voicemail for every call dialed? Now, it could be some of the numbers don't actually have voicemail set up, but I'd call tech support and ask and just see what your situation is. I don't know. How much more is the 3-line dialer? I use the 1 line, but I can go 15 minutes without talking to somebody. The 3-line dialer, I think Eric can give you a better answer, and if you call Red X, they can give you a better answer. But I believe the 3-line dialer is 149 or 150 a month. Carolyn, yes, if you get Onyx, you're able to get Storm Dialer as well. Actually, if you get Onyx, you need a dialer because you're going to get a lot of numbers with it, right? Because you're going to get all of the data. Paula, have you ever prospected in the morning and again in the afternoon? Yes, I've done that a tremendous amount of times. Sometimes I've done the 2-a-day thing. I like prospect. Like if you're prospecting in the morning all the time, there's going to be people that you don't get on the phone. And if you switch it up and start prospecting some in the afternoon, sometimes you'll get a lot of those people on the phone. And every now and then you might want to try, you do a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon. I don't like Sunday morning, but Sunday afternoon is fantastic. Because a lot of people are kind of hanging out, getting ready for work on Monday. So I encourage you to. I encourage you to try it out. So what do you do if all the numbers on the do not call? Doug, I call everybody. Okay, here's the thing. I call everybody. There's a lot of funky stuff with the do not call list. If somebody tells me, hey, Jason, I'm on the do not call list, I say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I'll make sure that I take you off my list. You have a fantastic day. Are you still looking to sell your house? But I call every number that I get, that's what I do. So, Let's see. I got some questions online. What is Onyx? Onyx is the premium service that RedX offers. Now, Onyx, you guys, um, you have to call and get it. You can't get it from their website. Okay, it's an extra $100. It's $100 upgrade, but Onyx gives you all the data plus emails. So you're going to get a lot of data. And I'll tell you guys, if you guys want to subscribe to Onyx, I use Onyx myself. Onyx is unbelievable. You will get people that nobody else is getting on the phone because you're getting all the data. So sometimes some of these funky algorithms, sometimes it'll weed out a number, but hey, that number is still the right number. You know, it just, for whatever reason, maybe that number was associated with a bunch of different addresses. So I don't know, algorithm didn't include it. With Onyx, you get that special number, right? You get those hard to get numbers. You get everything. And then your job is to go down through that and sort them out yourself. So I personally like Onyx. I find that if there's 10 expireds in my market, I'll get numbers for 9 or 10 of them. Most of the time at least 9 out of 10. And then out of those 9 out of 10, I'll have a correct number for probably 6 out of the 10 sellers. I mean, it's unbelievable. And you just weed out the ones that aren't correct. You just delete them and go through it. It's kind of like you get all the data, you dump it into the top level of your funnel. The first call is weeding out those people on the funnel. Um, Tony also asked, should you start with one and go with FSBO or expired? If you have to start one, man, I jump in with both. A lot of agents think that they're gonna wait until they get really good with one. Here's the thing, dude. You're never going to be 100% ready. You're never going to be perfect. You just got to start. A lot of agents, I hear agents say all the time, oh, I want to get really good with the script before I go out and spend money to subscribe for, the RedX's service. Well, here's the thing. You're never going to get really good at the script if you're not calling real sellers, right? Me and you can role play every day, but it's not going to take the place of actually calling a real seller. Denise asked where she lives. They received 20, 30 calls. I've thought of visiting and leaving pre-listing packages at the door. What are your thoughts? Now, I don't think door knocking's bad. I don't think knocking on the doors are bad, but I can guarantee you these 20 or 30 calls are not what you think. If they're getting 30 calls, 25 of them to 28 of them are, hey, Mr. Seller, Jason here. Let me list your house. And the person hangs up on them. They're not meaningful conversations. And there too, they might be getting 20 or 30 calls the first day. After that expired, goes 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. That number of calls they're getting is dropping drastically, right? And you know what? I would not let that intimidate me at all. A lot of the agents that you're calling, we went through those 7 things. They don't have a marketing plan. They don't really have a script. They're just really bad at the whole process. And you guys being on this call, you guys are taking initiative to be on a call. And it was an hour and we're at like an hour and a half now. You guys want to get really good at it, right? So who cares if there's 30 people calling when you know that you're the best person calling? That's the mindset that I have anyway. So, let's see. I've already answered about the do not call list. I think you should call every number that you get. I got this one. I'm really nervous about calling people. Should I research properties in the area of the person I'm calling first? No. Look here. Don't worry about researching. Don't worry about researching. Just start making calls. RedX is going to pull up the expired stuff when you get somebody on the phone, when you're having a meaningful conversation. Have your MLS pulled up in the background where you can flip to it, or have it, if you're doing the dual monitor thing, have it on your second monitor so you can just flip around and start looking stuff up. Man, do not go through researching. It's going to take you too much time. Start making calls. Research with the ones that you're having meaningful conversations with. The link I tell you guys, the best thing to do is call RedX, tell them that you're on this if you haven't subscribed, because they have a super deal with you guys that are on this call. Okay. My RedX link is jasonmorrisredx.com, where you can get the $150 discount. They're going to give you guys this, but then for this program right now, they got some specials. Call them and ask about it. That's the best thing to do. Let's see. I got everybody's answer there. Who else has got questions? I know there's more questions than that. Let's see here. Do you leave or send your info packet if you have their email on Redx but haven't spoken with them? Now, I don't think that's a bad idea, Jay, to send your info packet or send them an email. It's up to you. Typically, I like to send it after I've talked to them so they're expecting it, you know? Doug, best way to learn how to efficiently use Redx software and or the Storm Dialer. I'll tell you, Doug, tech support at Redx is amazing. These are super, super people. Now, the best way really to use it, it's very user-friendly program. The best way to use it or figure it out is just start. However, tech support, they have help videos. They have a great help section. They can help you if you have any problems or have any questions you can't figure out. But I'll tell you, they made their software like really, really user-friendly. Jerry asked, do you know anybody having success with Redx for rent by owner? I'll tell you guys, for rent by owner, it's a fantastic lead source nobody's doing in your market. I'll give you like my 30-second thing with for rent by owners. For rent by owners is a little bit longer game because what you're doing, most markets, the rental market's on fire. So what you're doing is you're trying to just establish contact with the people, build a little bit of rapport, send them your pre-listing package, and then you need to follow up with these people until one of two things happens. Either the lease expires or they have problems with the tenant. Because I can tell you this, I used to do property management. Again, when you start having those tenant problems, man, it sucks, man, and you just want to get rid of that tenant. And yeah, it just sucks. You want to get rid of the tenant, you want to get rid of the problem, and you want to get rid of the whole thing, man. It's horrible. So what you're doing is, you know, that if they rented their house in January, more than likely that lease expires. If they rented in January 2018, that lease expires probably in January 2019. So what you're doing is you're calling them, you're building rapport, you're building trust, you're building a relationship, and you're waiting for the lease to expire or them to have tenant problems. And really it's a 5-minute phone call and email, like once a month, every 45 days, offering value. Dude, I never had anybody say, hey, I didn't work with Jason because he didn't follow up with me. Keep that in mind too. Nobody ever says, hey, this agent kept me too informed. I couldn't work with them. They gave me too much. They gave me too much information about my house and the market. Tommy, you're right, man. I'm losing my voice a little bit. Yeah, this is just like hour 3 for me on webinars today. Craig, I use my scripts, man. I kind of developed them over, honestly, I've been through a lot of coaching programs myself, and then guys just over the years making literally thousands and thousands of phone calls. I tweaked here, tweaked there, and that's how we got kind of come up with what we have today. Paul, those emails of folks that we haven't talked to, it's not a bad idea to email them. You got their email. We can't guarantee a response, but we got their email. Denise, what I'll do is I'll upload my expired script tonight, and so you guys will have it. So be on the lookout for it. Renee asked, what CRM do I use? Renee, I've got 2, and this is probably going to really surprise you guys. So I actually, for my calls and stuff, I use the Redx Vortex. I actually use Vortex is basically free with every Redx product, and you can schedule follow-up and put notes in it and all that fun stuff. And so I use that for all my calls. But then what I do is, for the really good people that I've had really meaningful conversations with, that I write them down in a notebook. And my notebook's easy. Like a lot of agents want to use like really fancy stuff, and they want to use the latest greatest CRM. But the problem is man, there's always a learning curve with a CRM. Then you got to take all this time to update it and make sure that everybody's in there. And before you know it, it's like a full-time job working on your CRM. Vortex is super easy, and my 5-subject notebook is fantastic as well. So we got that. So let's see, guys. I'm looking through. Do you guys on Zoom have any other questions? Uh, do I work with pre-foreclosures? In my market, honestly, we don't really have any pre-foreclosures anymore. I'm not saying it's bad to work with them or not. If you got them in your market, they're a fantastic source of business. It's a different lead type, and sometimes that. Now, we'll tell you, pre-foreclosure is a little bit different conversation because lots of times pre-foreclosures, with pre-foreclosures, you have typically the information is coming from the foreclosure notice being filed or less pendants being filed. And sometimes that foreclosure notice will be filed, but the property owner don't know about it yet. So sometimes, you can't really call them up and just say, "Hey, Denise, Jason Morris here. See, your house is in foreclosure. You want to sell it rather than let the judge sell it at the courthouse?" You can't really do that conversation. You got to be a little bit more tactful. Kirk asked how do I set up my 5-section notebook. I just use a 5-section notebook because it's bigger, and that's really it. And sometimes I'll make notes, and I don't want to make notes in my lead section, so I'll flip over that 5th section, and make notes when I'm listening to like YouTube videos, webinars like this. So lots of times during my coaching calls, I'm making notes about questions I'm getting answered, so that sometimes I can create content specifically around that. So I don't really have like a specific way to set it up. I just use the 5 subject because it's bigger. I got more room to write stuff, And I typically write 1 lead per page, so the lead gets the whole page. I know some agents out there, they want to be, conserve paper, conserve trees or whatever, but I don't worry about that in my whole listing process. If we list enough houses, we can afford to plant more trees. 1 lead, 1 page. You got to do it that way. So seriously, Jay, hey, thanks, Tony. Tony sounds a pretty cool person. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. My group coaching, jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com, if any of you guys are interested in that. And guys, I think that's it. Guys, man, I've kept you on here literally almost 2 hours. Paula asked, have there been any objections you found that I needed help with or that stunned you? Every now and then, I will tell you, you will get an objection that will be completely out of left field where you go, holy shit, that can't be real. But there's no way they can be lying because it's just too weird. And you know what? When that happens, you wait a week and you call them back. That's really all you can do. Yeah, so that's what you got to do sometimes. There for those real weird, crazy objections that you just can't prepare for. That's what you got to do. Make me moves from Zillow. Make me moves from Zillow. A little funky. I treat them just like a for sale owner. What services do I have from RedX? Actually, Eric might can answer that question. I think I got every one of them. I got for rent owners. I like GeoLeads. GeoLeads is really cool. I don't use GeoLeads enough. I need to actually like plan in my schedule. I'm just like everybody else, guys. Sometimes I don't do what I tell you I need to do. But GeoLeads, I probably should be using that more. I heavily use for sale owners, expired. I like the for rent owners. But I switch back and forth with storm dialers. Sometimes, some days if I got some other stuff I'm doing, I like the one line thing. I tell you, with one line, I can listen to YouTube videos, I can listen to music, I can play around on Facebook while I'm waiting for somebody to answer. And with the 3 line, it's like, man, I gotta stay like super alert. So on those days where some days, man, 3 lines, I gotta slow it down a little bit. Especially if I've been like really prospecting hard that week. But you can flip back and forth. You can subscribe to 3 lines, and on the days, some days you're just not feeling it, and you can switch back to 1, and then switch back to 3. So that's kind of what I do. But all those services, I've used them all. All of them are fantastic. If you guys are doing circle prospecting and you do not have GeoLeads, then you're doing a disservice to yourself. Let's see. Do I find there's a best time to schedule calls for sale owners and expireds? Renee, I think the best time is the time that you could actually put it into your schedule. Um, however, we talked about this in one of my group coaching calls earlier today. I had a lady that was scheduling her calls between 11 and 2, and it's kind of hard between 11 and 2, right? Because if a lot of the times expires, you do get cell phone numbers, but a lot of calls you're making are to home phones. And if you're waiting until 11 a.m. to call, then lots of times everybody's kind of got started with their day, right? So they've left home already. I really like 8 to 10, 8 to 11. And the reason being is because at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, I actually have a voice. I'm not losing my voice like I am a little bit right now. Um, but 8 o'clock in the morning, I've went through all my morning rituals. I've listened to something positive. I've listened to music. Um, and I'm like ready to go, right? At 8 o'clock in the morning. Uh, Ideally, in my mind, I'd like to make calls from 6 to 8 every afternoon, but I'm going to tell you, it's not going to happen. I mean, because my days are crazy. I coach real estate agents. I sell real estate. A lot of crazy things happen in my day sometimes. And by the time I get home at 5:30, 5:30, I try to be home 5:30 on most days. And then we eat dinner, and then we got a 6 month old baby, and I spend a little time with Laura. I spend a little time with Parker. Um, Dude, I just don't want to get. I'm just not going to make calls. And that's the problem a lot of agents have is they say, "Oh, well, I want to make them later in the day," and that later in the day just don't happen. So that first thing in the morning, it's easy to time block that because the thing about it is we're in a business where, dude, there's no emergencies in the real estate business. No matter how much we want to fool ourselves, or our sellers want to believe that there's an emergency, or our buyers want to believe there's an emergency, we're not putting out fires. We're not doing heart surgery, right? We're selling houses. The biggest emergency is sometimes the lender needs something by 2 o'clock, right? There's nothing that can't wait until after 10 or after 11. So that's the way I've structured my day. My voicemail and everything even says this, so that that I will be in the meetings until 11 o'clock. So so that's why I do it at 8 a.m. and that's why I don't do it later in the day. I think you should change it up every now and then. I think if you've been doing the mornings, I think you should do an afternoon every now and then. If you've been doing if you're doing mornings and afternoons, you should probably do a Saturday or Sunday every now and then. Um, Switch it up. You'll get different people at different times. It's kind of weird. But it doesn't matter what time you call. Typically, you're going to get people on the phone. Middle of the day, I think, is probably the worst time, though. Um, Craig, yeah, I can upload my for sale by owner script. That's no problem. And Delia, I'm getting emails from RedX Onyx. RedX Onyx actually gives you emails. Hey, Kurt, I appreciate it, man. It's a fun day. I get to share a lot of stuff with you guys. So, guys, hey, I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. So give me a little bit of feedback on what you thought about today. If you think this is good information, we went about an hour and 45 minutes. And anyway, all this is recorded, so you can watch it later. You can listen to it again, take notes. I'm sure, I'm sure I'm even going to go back and take notes. But I really appreciate you guys being here with us today. If you guys haven't subscribed to RedX, now's the time, because like I said, I don't know of a time they've ever offered like it is today for you guys. And I don't even want to say what it is because, I'm sure there's going to be recordings and stuff of this, and they're not going to offer this deal forever. So thank you guys for being here, and I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. So, hey, if you got other agents in your office you think need this, feel free to share this group with them and share, this recording with them. So thanks so much, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.